nothing stopping you from being whatever you want to be when you wake up in the morning. There's nobody telling you you have to do this. It's the greatest country in the world.
So that can lead me into the last topic. I like this. I love that our country is made up of diversity.
Yes.
And
yeah,
if you and I want to go eat strawberries right now, for instance, it's maybe like $4 to $6 for, a bucket of strawberries, right?
Right.
And our farmers make like $2 an hour.
Yeah.
But they're willing to do a job to be able to get a chance from somewhere else that doesn't have what we have in America. I find that what we have in America are not only in America, we have the resources. In other, let's say, third world countries or second world countries, they maybe don't have the resources, but they have more resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And I believe that our kids are given a lot of things. They don't understand the value. And I'm very for having people apply to come to this country legally, having them in this country, having them work for us. I mean, I've met people from so many countries around the world that would love an opportunity to come to America to build a future. What's your thought on building companies here, having and bringing people in? Like one of my kids that actually works for Jake right now, from Nova Southeast University, went through my class. He's been doing a little bit of internship stuff off, just helping out, doing some things, but he's going to have an official internship this year. When he comes back, he's from Italy. Kid's a top swimmer, college athlete. And I look at this and I'm like, he can speak multiple languages. He wants it. He loves it. And he's an amazing human.
Right.
So how do we do that in America? Because I know we've outsourced a bunch, but I also love that we can keep certain businesses inside to be able to create, a win-win for our countries, tax dollars, everything else grow. What's the future of that? What do you see?
Well, I see a great future, and to be almost in any business that we want to get into that isn't just, at the lowest common denominator, that it can be made anywhere else. So like, for instance, if you're going to go and make furniture and you can apply anybody to making furniture, well, it's hard to keep up a competitive differentiator. But if you're going and talk about designing unique furniture and then hiring people to build it, and there's enough margin that everybody can make money, great opportunity. I mean, I like you think that what's beautiful about the United States, maybe this is a bigger competitive advantage than entrepreneurship, is the diversity. I've traveled a lot in the world, and I'm always so proud to come home and watch the mix of people that are having lunch together or dinner together, and that our system is based on merit. So you could be born in the most humble surroundings and be as accepted and appreciated by the fact that you are an accomplished person in whatever you do, and you're respected for whatever that is to go and do. So I kind of think that I'm not a Trump fan, but I do like the idea of creating jobs, manufacturing jobs in this country. And I think a lot of the manufacturing jobs, it's not like Americans have chased out. And I actually don't believe the unions are a bad thing either. I think what's happened, and we saw this while the unions even existed, is that a small group of people make more money than they could ever spend, and they could still have a mansion and a yacht and everything else, but they should consider profit sharing, a bigger slice of the profit share for everybody else, which will make them even more money. I think that the biggest concern we have in this country is a shrinking middle class. And I think that the idea that people should come here legally, I've heard that said by Hispanics, Asians, everybody. I don't think anybody has an issue with that. I think there are a couple issues. One is when people have been living in this country for a long time, even if they're illegal, you have to wonder, how come we didn't put them through the system to legalize them? I mean, there are people being booed out of the country who've been here 20 years and paid taxes. I got to wonder, how come we just didn't put them into a system where they did get that? And with the countries where they're so broken, like Guatemala and and I guess Ecuador, certainly Mexico. We need to come up with a plan for those countries so those people don't really want to come to the US. We need to be able to work with them to create opportunity for them that we can also benefit by the fact that we've done this. So I think the future for America is still super bright because no one person could really wreck this fantastic system. It can set it back a little, but they really can't wreck this system. But I think that there are manufacturing jobs that kids should who come from bad circumstances, but there's this opportunity, even if they can't go to college, to go and pick something that they're going to, whether it's a welder or whatever that is, go into that. And then after they've gone and they're making some money, then they can choose to do something else. Nobody says you have to stick with that job. I've remade myself numerous times. I went from being a sports writer to an entrepreneur to a college professor to hosting a show online. So I've remade myself a few times because nobody said you have to do whatever you're doing forever. Nobody can force you to do that, right? Look at policemen. I so respect, that is the hardest job in the world, is to be a policeman. It's a really hard job. And maybe society should be thinking about with policemen that we check their psyche every 4 years, because what they came into the academy with, which was to serve and protect. And if you see bad stuff every day, it's just like being in the military and you have PTSD. PTSD. And so maybe that they don't get, instead of waiting 20 years for a pension, they get pension after 10 years because they've seen so much. It's time to pull the plug and do something else with their lives, right, to go and do. So I don't like this whole concept of defunding the police. I think it's ridiculous. But I think working with them to improve it and to make it even better for the police, I'm sure, they would like their lives easier as well. And maybe there are other people who could work with them to go and do those kinds of things. So I think if we take an entrepreneurial approach to everything like you've done with education and like the things I do, I really think that there's no limit and there's nothing we can't solve. That's how I look at it. I don't ever believe that there's something that can't be fixed by putting smart people together who have different experiences. I don't mean smart with just high IQ who went to Harvard. I mean that they're really good at whatever they do and they're out of the box thinkers. What do you think?
I agree with you. I like out of the box. I'm actually a deputy sheriff reserve.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I've been doing it a couple of years, had some fun with it so far, and really been able to change lives, not only with community, but also with law enforcement, because we have a training program. I'm actually going on the road for 2 weeks next week, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, to train groups of law enforcement and educators on how to love themselves, but also understand themselves and reflect and be vulnerable and really create the life they want every day with the right mindset. So I've been doing that for 10 years. That's been fun. But now I'm getting funded a little bit bigger, and it's a lot of fun. But
I'm passionate about the whole thing with the police because I feel that we as just citizens of the country, I don't actually know how the police are trained. I don't know that the approach that they have been trained with for whatever period of time doesn't need to be changed. If you talk to people like my grandparents, and they would say, oh, police were highly valued back in their day. And why? Because you had the beat cop who knew everybody in the neighborhood. So if you did something wrong, you weren't arrested for it. He grabbed you, he brought you your parents, he sat down, talked to you and your parents, and you worked it out. So I don't know, I think we are missing a lot of that. I think there's a big disconnect. About 5 years ago with the police commissioner in Philadelphia, I went to him and said, I'd like to start something called the Police Entrepreneurs Network. And I want to be able to bridge the gap between the police and the community, and in my case, the urban Black community in Philadelphia. So people look at the police as fellow citizens, people that they could develop a relationship with. And I said, I'm sure there are policemen who are interested in entrepreneurship as a side gig. And if we go and identify smart people who are on the edge of going the wrong way, maybe we give them a choice of entering this entrepreneurship program or going to prison. So Police Commissioner Ramsey said, I love this idea. Let's call it either you go to the state pen or you go to our pen, which is the Police Entrepreneurs Network. And the problem was there was still a disconnect between that community and the police department that they refused to work with them. And so we couldn't get this off the ground. But I think these kinds of bridge building needs to happen because police are just like us. I mean, they're just regular people trying to do the right thing. And 99.9% of them are great, amazing people who put their lives on the line every single day. And we should be pleased with that, but we should help them make their lives better so they can live up to the serve and protect. And those who are uncomfortable with doing it in a way that we all find acceptable, they need to find another career for themselves.
Right? Yep, I agree. So, and we could talk about this for like a day, but I look at it, it comes down to policy and culture.
Yeah.
And I just did a podcast with my captain that we're going to put out this next month, but it's policy in the beginning of how they're trained. It's a lot of militaristic training, but not that much community-based, educational, on how to connect, communicate. The content's there, but the context is not. And then the second part is the culture. And what I find is there's a lot of hazing, not in my department, but there's a lot of hazing and a lot of implicit bias. And a lot of people are never taught on how to create a belief or understand their current beliefs. And then if they're frustrated or upset at something, or they're sad because they see a kid's body mutilated or whatever's going on, the negative they see every day, if they go see somebody, psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, counselor, it ends up in their file. So it can actually it can hurt them from getting their promotion, or it can hurt them from getting the right retirement based upon, not having the right culture or policy on taking care of the mindset and taking care of the person's heart, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, however that is. So I'm with you on that 100%. We definitely need to add value. We need more training. We need more money for training, because if we don't have law enforcement and we don't have educators and we don't have military, then our country will not exist as it is today. So I think those are the three groups of people that I stand behind the most, is the people that protect us internationally, protect us nationally, and teach us for the next generation.
Listen, teaching is one of the hardest jobs. When I taught full time at a university, and I'm teaching 3 classes, and you're talking about that for every hour of class, you have 3 to 5 hours of work that you have to do. And then you have to keep reading to stay ahead of the kids, not just the textbook, but all the stuff that you need to do. And then you got to meet with the kids and make themselves available. I think like one of the schools I was at, they said, what's your office hours? I said, 24/7. Like, well, no, you can't do that. You have to, 1 to 5 or whatever. I said, well, why can't a kid email me and see if I'm up at 11:30 at night and be willing to respond? And I did. A student texted me and I said, I can talk now if you want. He was like blown away that I was doing it. Or I meet them for lunch, where I say to him, oh, I'm available on a Sunday. My girlfriend works for the Catholic Church. I'm available. I'll meet you somewhere and we'll talk about whatever that is, or we'll do it by Zoom or whatever, whatever it is. And the kids are like shocked. But then you're getting dinged because you're making everybody else work harder by the fact that you're willing to go above and beyond. And I think that if teachers are passionate about what they do, and the ones who get burned out, it's time to retire. You're just not doing. But I can see why teachers teach 9 months of the year, because by the 9th month, you are mentally exhausted and you need time to unwind and just relax, so you can recharge your batteries and get ready to go again at the end of August.
Yeah, for sure. Marc, you're a blessing, bro.
I hope I was helpful.
I would love to take you out to lunch or dinner sometime when I'm in Pennsylvania, if you're ever in South Florida.
Please.
I would love to play tennis sometime with you. You could teach me, I used to